Mario Kart 8 Deluxe versus Team Sonic Racing versus Crash Team Racing. Disclaimer time. This is not a review, obviously. Greetings and fuzzballs, internet gaming peasants across the globe. Welcome to my very first episode of Virtual Gaming Clash, my segment of videos in which I pin video games against each other, either in a head-to-head clash or in a free-for-all virtual gaming bout bloodbath kind of clash. Mario Kart Deluxe versus Team Sonic Racing versus Crash Team Racing. Let the battle commence! Let the battle commence. The illustrious Mario Kart games have always been recognised in the kart racing scene since its introduction in pixel history in the year of 1992 on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, given the fact that even the microscopic transformers that live in your pillow know about them, otherly known as lice. Wash your hair out, you scruffy dustbin raiders. From the 16-bit colour sexiness of the SNES, going to the questionable among the few of the 3D world transformation with the Nintendo 64 in 1996, ever more adding to do in the game with Mario Kart Double Dash in 2003 on the amazing GameCube system, following then on with the Wii, which was alright especially with online which was for free, Wii U, and now on the Switch, not to mention or to forget the handheld versions either, they are good too. It is fair to say Mario Kart is a personal favourite among many, including yours truly. I grew up with Mario Kart since the very first, so I'm an old timer now and experienced the highs and lows of each game throughout my years. Having so many familiar faces and characters to pick, experiencing various gaming mechanics, soundtracks and visuals and broken friendships was just an everlasting experience for many of us who were fortunate enough to play these kart games under Nintendo. I'm rather surprised that the old war that only mattered in the virtual life, which was Sega does versus Nintendo don't, that Sonic, being one of Sega's most well-known and beloved, did not have his own racing game to the same success of Mario Kart. But after playing Sonic Drift recently on a compilated game disc for the Blue Hedgehog's games, being Sonic's first racing game in his early timeline in the year of 1994, I can very much see why this game was so forgetful and not spoken about that much, or at all, or why it can't even compare to Mario Kart of the SNES. Nobody I knew ever even spoke about it, and for good reason too. It lit a spark with no gasoline surrounding it. Although the sequel, as was the first, was on the Sega Game Gear handheld, that was at least a bit of an improvement with colours and sound. Carrying on with their creative nature to try something different with the game with Sonic R for the PC, Microsoft Windows and Sega Saturn in 1997, a console of which I'm still hunting for, where the characters actually use what lazy people can't be bothered to use, their feet. That seemed cool. It goes without say that the Sonic racing games have had a bit of a baby roller coaster to say the least, but at least they are giving things a go. One of my favourite Sonic racing games being Sega All-Star Racing for the Xbox 360, I began to have hope again that the games can give me and many others a good fun experience. Now, Team Sonic Racing is the latest in the entry. Last but certainly not least, we have the mighty Crash Bandicoot, Sony's lovable legend. I was rather surprised when Crash had his own racing game on the PlayStation, but I was so happy about it. Coming out a bit later on in the PlayStation 1's lifespan was not a downer or a huge flop. In fact, quite the opposite. Crash Team Racing on the PS1 was rather, how can I say this humbly, fantastic? The music was vibrant, the character roster was decent, the gameplay felt smooth and playable. Not bad for a first time Crash Team Racer back in 1999. With Crash Nitro Kart and Crash Tag Team Racing both being released on the illustrious PS2 console, you can only imagine how vamped those games must have been since Crash Bandicoot was on the racing scene. It even had a mobile iOS release with Crash Nitro Kart 2, and Crash Racing had a mobile phone release. Alrighty then, popsicles, get out the dropsicles and stay tuned for the battlesicles and wheelsicles. And why am I sounding like a complete muppet right now? Who knows? Well, just take a moment out of your sad day and enjoy the very first episode of Virtual Game Clash, in which these three juggermuggerlugs go in a free-for-all battle of the racers. They are going to go at it like three African rhinos in the Sahara Desert on a free-for-all battle. This is Virtual Gaming Clash. Okay then, you Thanksgiving turkeys, let us begin with the first sexy amazing thing in these games, the gameplay. Team Sonic Racing. There are of course mixed fruit bag opinions on the trio of the games regarding the gameplay and the mechanics of what you can do. Team Sonic Racing's gameplay to me is like comparing Worker and Parasite to Itchy and Scratchy cartoons, when compared to the amazing racing game called Sonic All-Star Racing. There is literally nothing new to expect from the latest installment from Team Sonic Racing's game. The nice touch of what I do like is the fact you can do a team up of 3 characters per team on this game. I don't mind this being implemented into a racing game, and I found this feature rather enjoyable and in theory, especially online for the Switch, when the if and when gamers actually play the game to fill a lobby full once, for goodness sake. It's like a ghost town on the Switch servers. The gameplay felt more of a downgrade and somewhat extremely mediocre. The drifting was okay, I suppose, if you can muster your timing right around those corners. The gameplay on Team Sonic Racing feels so downgradedly bare bones that it makes extinct dinosaurs' corpses seem fresh. That's what you get when you purchase a game that tricks you because of advertisement. In fact, the engine this game was developed on was only a modified engine as opposed to the previous installments, for the of course purpose of being able to port the game across other platforms. It just feels flat as a witch's breast playing this game. It's like it's going backwards in terms of quality. For goodness sake man, Sega, get it together. And that's a right darn shame, because I had high hopes for this game when I heard about its development. Speaking of, I'm sure you lovelies may know, but before this game was released, it was actually delayed, which is good because that holds more potential to tweak things, add in spicy touches, and make a game more enjoyable and fun. You would think that would be the case here, but it's not, sadly, especially since that would have been released around the time of Smash Bros. Ultimate. There is nothing exceptional and enjoyable with the gameplay from this game. I felt it was more of a cash grab for a new idea, which was the free-player team-up, and delaying a game probably only meant for more hype Sega wanted for the fans of Sonic. So removing the transformable aspect of the game was good. Why exactly? That gaming aspect proved so well for Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64, which came out in the 90s, and would have been interesting for this game, since that if, and let me have my moment here folks, it was developed well for this game. One direction Sega could have took was to use the transformable aspects of the vehicles and combine that with the freeway team-up. Just a thought. A rather good one, to be honest. You know what, Sega? There probably is a good reason as to why the Dreamcast was your last and Nintendo still thrived. Shut up, Sega. Also, you know, for a Sonic game, this does feel like the speed of the vehicles is driving in second gear, meaning it's rather slow and not so fast. That's not too bad. Item swapping in the game is a nice touch, that's a good thing. I do like the fact that you can give another team member an item you don't want, or just to help them out. The slipstream is a nice boost if you will find yourself trailing behind other players, CPU or humans. So the gameplay for Sonic Racers feels rather weak and is such a disappointment for me. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart stays classy to a certain structure that I have noticed. With each new Mario Kart there's always something new or different with the gameplay. With Double Dash you can switch characters and can combine weapons. The Wii version had bikes, Switch version had third drift boost and kart and player stats, with a few driving options from on what you prefer and how to play. The smoothness of the gameplay is so satisfying and is very rewarding for the players who play well by their own individual skills on the tarmac, snow, or dirt, or drug-infused hyper-eyed rainbow road over here. Heck, drive on the clouds, that would be good fun. I have never ever been disappointed with how the gameplay works with the Mario Kart games, especially with the stage interactions. Sharp turns, avoiding the dangers here and there. Mario Kart keeps you on your revving toes with varied speed options from 50 to 200cc. Pure rubber burning mayhem of speed and crack cocaine for your journey. Sure, why not? Each cc speed is, in its own way, the difficulty of the game. 50cc being for newcomers, or those who are able to play the game at that speed of the game, and 200cc for just the show-offs. Yeah, we've all seen it all before, nothing new, move along 200cc maniacs. What I do miss is that in Mario Kart 64, when you select one of the heavy class characters, the medium weight and lightweight had zero chance of bumping them and spinning them out. However, in this game, that no longer applies and your kart just acts like a widget spinner on wheels. All in great fun from the Big N of Japan. A nice feature for casual players is the smart steering feature to help aid you to stay on the track and not fall off. At first, I felt this was a very helpful and useful, well it is big time, tool, but I preferred that when I got very used to the gameplay and the stages, I was raring to go manual steering from then on out. It's the small things like that that make a difference. Crash Team Racing, Nitro fueled. I'm going to say it, and I won't have any regrets. This game is gorgeous. Not only with its gameplay, but also with everything else it provides. Crash Team Racing provides a drift reward style of gameplay. Using drifts in this game to boost your overall position and to gain much ground is something that takes skill in itself, especially when you can muster up the power and master the drifting not only around the corners but throughout the course of each map as you race through them. This proves that unlike Mario Kart and Team Sonic Racing, you do not need to rely on item speed boosters all the time, or items themselves to gain the ground you lost to keep up with the other players racing against you. No matter which kart you choose, the gameplay feels so fresh and smooth with its handle-friendly vehicles, and can be picked up and played and also enjoyed by newcomers and pro players alike. Racing over the beautiful courses, there are stage hazards and big drops and beautiful sceneries to enjoy gawping at as you rev your engines and have such fun within the dynamic levels. My verdict? Who's going to get the point for the gameplay? I'm going to give this one to Crash Team Racing. There is something extremely rewarding for me, my personal experience playing these games, that was so gratifying playing Crash Team Racing as opposed to the other two games in this series. Now, with Crash Team Racing, the whole gameplay is about, as I said, reward you for boosting. Not boosting as in like cheating, but using the boost and drift to get around those corners to actually get you better further up into the field of catching up with the other players. There's something rewarding in that skill level alone with how you play as to regards to having handouts with weapons or abilities that you can use to actually get you back into the race. I prefer that. There's a lot more skill, there's a little bit more difficulty lying in that, and I actually overly preferred it. So for this one, the point goes to Crash Team Racing. Okay, so that's 1-0-0. Crash Team Racing's off to a good start. Now, let's bring on the items. Team Sonic Racing's items remind me of the items you can use for another video game called Wipeout. I found them confusing using the Wisp powers in this game. I'm sure that once you are memory locked in knowing which items do what, it's okay, but for me it was trial and error for a long while as to remember and know what item do what. They are weirdly designed in the item box locator, no deductive points for being different, but it was indeed a challenge to remember, as if to say as if these items are a shield, a projectile or a speed booster. That being said, the items when used are pretty cool as to what they do and if and when you hit your opponents. The ability to transfer your items to your other two teammates is rather interesting, and to add points to the team-based efforts of helping your teammate and vice versa, while adding to the fact that you can use the items to your advantage to gain high positions in the race against other players is really useful should you find yourself falling behind. The items in the Mario Kart games have always been some of the best items in the kart racing scene in any racing game with similarities. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just continues with the mega awesomeness of the items it was given with, ranging from the projectile shells, speed boosting mushrooms, or to the craziness with the Lucky 8 and Bullet Bill items. It's always a bag full of fun to use these items to try and get that sweet victory of first place. Mario Kart Deluxe provides an easy indicator of what items you have. If you're new to the game or an experienced player, you come to terms with what item does what rather easily quick. Being so colourful and vibrant with its items, each item is different to the other items in terms of their unique abilities. We have the homing red shells, the boo items, which turns you invisible while thieving another player's item, Blooper, who squirts his blooper juice all over your screen, Bullet Bill, who comes to your rescue to shoot you through the lost ground and give you an edge as you whiz past players, the Golden Mushroom, which provides a high speed boost for an amount of time. It is pure craziness with how much each item does, whether it's used from or against you. Crash Team Racing's items are basic and limited, but also useful and fun to experiment with when playing against your competition. Similar to Mario Kart and Team Sonic Racing's items, you have your projectiles, speed boosts, traps, and other items that have been put into the game. What I love about Crash Team Racing's items is how often you get to place the traps. One of my favourite weapons, being the Nitro box, is a fun one to use, as you have to constantly jump to avoid being blown up. We have a good range of items to use at your expense, and you will find that the other projectiles and trap items, there are items that can affect everybody racing and primarily the first place driver. Dodging and avoiding the trap items are a good challenge depending on where and when the CPU or human based players put them. Placing them before jumps is always a naughty thing to do on this game, but also fun. Right, so drum roll is on. Who gets this one for the items? Without a doubt, I'm definitely going to give in this one to Mario Kart. For me, I've really enjoyed what Mario Kart Deluxe items has given the overall gameplay and the overall experience, as opposed to the other two games I've done. Mario Kart has a bigger, wider and more fun use of its items than the other two games, but they each provide their own fun, pros and cons in their own way. But for me, I just preferred Mario Kart 8's items over these other two games. So, point goes to Mario Kart for this one. Alright, now let's talk about the campaign, or story. Again with Mario Kart, it's all about racing, racing, racing. There's been nothing implemented really for Mario Kart in the terms of a campaign, adventure mode or even a story. That is where Sonic Racing and Crash Racing succeed at. For me, that adds no depth to any of these characters of the game. It's just strictly business. But considering the amount of games that the various characters in the Mario games and Nintendo games alike are known in, that's okay. It's not mandatory, but it would have been interestingly fun to watch a Mario Kart campaign or a story-driven experience for a change. Still images with Team Sonic Racing's story mode. I felt this was vastly underwhelming as an experience to this game while playing in 2019. While it adds something to the game, it falls on a level of boredom with me. Going from stage to stage on top-down view racing board map to see what level you're on was a nice touch to the game in your progression. While going through the story, before each race you have 1 star per objective per race that you can achieve to complete. That is also a nice touch. Adventure mode on Crash Team Racing was rather lovely. Racing to stop an evil alien from completing his objective on world domination. Nothing like the Mona Lisa of things, but it is something, and that, my friends, is better than nothing. Adding in boss fights that add a layer of a challenge too, that's pretty much in my good books of giving gamers something to work towards with more gaming time. What I particularly enjoyed was the adventure area in which you can practice your driving skills. This reminded me of another fantastic video game that does this very well called Diddy Kong Racing for the Nintendo 64. Beating bosses grants you access to new areas. That is a job well done. So, for the campaign or story mode, I'm going to give this point to Crash Team Racing. Again, with Mario Kart, it just doesn't have anything going for it in terms of story or a campaign or anything like that. Not even an adventure mode, it's just pure business with racing. So that gets deducted points in my opinion. With Crash Team Racing, however, I really preferred that to Team Sonic's Racing. The fact you have an adventure mode, you can practice your driving skills, you get to do different challenges during your adventure mode. It's all good fun. I really enjoyed Crash Team Racing's adventure mode a lot more than Team Sonic Racing's. So for that, Crash wins this one. Now let's talk about the music for the video games. The music in Mario Kart Deluxe and Team Sonic Racing is very nice to the ears. They both have a fundamental flow of their respective games with their selected tunes. While playing Crash Team Racing, however, it was rather difficult to hear the music in the game while playing. Not only that, but Crash Team Racing music was not that memorable for the most part. Mario Kart 8 provides the quirky and fun soundtracks, while Team Sonic Racing provides the cool and instrumental sounds. Both are a joy to listen to while playing both games. Each stage has their unique soundtrack that sets them apart from Mario Kart stages per track, as does Team Sonic Racing. Alrighty then, for the music, who gets this one? I'm gonna give this one to Mario Kart and Team Sonic Racing. Yes, they both get 1 point each. They both muster up a good amount of good music to listen to while playing these games. Alright, now that's the music out of the way. Now let's talk about the graphics, the visuals. Each video game in their own way has beautiful visuals. The background and the draw distance right down to the surface you drive on. It is amazing how much detail has gone into the design for the characters and the stages you drive through. The diversity in colours and the aesthetics with the stage in day, night and in between is rather brilliant. There is no doubt about it, all three games have pleasing graphics and have appealing visual design. But I feel the game that has the edge with it is Mario Kart, as the design of the characters have more of a crispier and well defined design superiority. Crash Team Racing wins the department of unlockables, with the amazingness of not only unlocking vehicles and characters, but you can also customize your vehicles and have various skins for your characters too. And that brings us to the end of this video on this particular series, ladies and gentlemen. Video Gaming Minions. I thank you very much for those of you only, for those of you that support my account. Right, those of you who watch my videos, engage with me, comment, share them. Yeah, by share them I mean my videos, of course. I ain't got time for people who are just subscribing to my account for sub basis. I ain't got no time for that rubbish or any of them waste of space people who just can't be bothered to be genuine on my account. So for those of you who actually do support me, thank you very much. You are the real MVPs. So that was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe versus Team Sonic Racing versus Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. You may feel differently, but this is exactly how I feel on these video games. If you feel, which one would you feel actually wins in your eyes? In my eyes, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Crash Team Racing are very neck and neck in terms of their pros and cons throughout the video games, and Team Sonic Racing happen to be the weaker game of the three. If this video gets about 10 likes, I'll be uploading my second episode of this series, and hopefully you'll be down to see that one too, fellow gaming minions. So, I am Dr. Virtual. If you're new, please consider subscribing to my account to show me some support. I look forward to engaging with new content creators and finding other people on the YouTube platform. Please like and share to help support my channel, and I would really appreciate that very much from the bottom of my heart. This video took me quite a while to put together, so I'd really appreciate any and all feedback. And as for my second episode, what do you think it will be? I wonder what it would be.